Hello, fine and friendly viewers, and welcome to Good Game, the show for gamers and by gamers. I'm Bajo.
And I'm Junglist. We're all about taking out opponents this week, Bajo. They may have been the best of their generation, but now, through the wonders of video gaming, you can pit Mike Tyson versus Muhammad Ali. Ready with the boom tish, Bajo?
Sure am, Junglist.
But is Fight Night Round 4 a unanimous decision or a knockout?
Well, I think that's used up our pun credits for the episode, Jung. Maybe the year, actually. We'll also be looking at the prequel-sequel to Call of Juarez, Bound in Blood. Is it a fistful of fail? Is it a brokeback Juarez? Is it the good, the bad, and the... Don't let me hang it, Jung.
Plus the rise and rise of the gaming blog. Ray looks at some of the pluses and pitfalls of the rapidly expanding blogosphere.
I have a very, very hard time with information that's put out there just for the sake of hits.
But first, can you guess the game for this week?
But first, news time, Junglist. Quick six.
Good game. The Chinese government have introduced new laws attempting to control the use of virtual currency in the past week. In a statement issued by the Chinese Ministry of Commerce, the use of virtual currencies to trade for real-world goods and services will be outlawed in an attempt to crack down on illegal gambling and money laundering using virtual coin. It has been reported that the new virtual currency laws will have a direct impact on the world's gold farming industry, or the process of selling gaming gold from massively multiplayer online games for real money. However, the Chinese Ministry of Commerce have not yet included a plan of action for the trade of video game dollars and have only targeted internet currency services that allow the exchange of virtual money for real goods. Japanese publishing giant Namco Bandai have acquired control of Atari Europe. The Atari brand has been owned by French company Infogrames since 2003. They've published games including Colin McRae Dirt and the recent Chronicles of Riddick Assault on Dark Athena, among many others. The acquisition means that one of the classic names in video gaming will disappear from Australia, as the local operations will be rebranded under the Namco Bandai name. Good Game contacted Atari Australia for more details, but while we can confirm that the company is already operating under its new title, they were not prepared to give us a statement at the time of reporting. In more Atari-related news, according to The Hollywood Reporter, Universal Studios have won a bidding war to acquire the rights to make a film adaptation of the classic arcade game Asteroids. The game, which was originally released in 1979, featured a lone spaceship fighting through an asteroid storm while shooting off its pew-pew lasers for big points. The game never had a main character or any supporting cast. Bollocks! And it didn't even have a storyline, so exactly what the potential film adaptation will involve is unknown. It's been a long time between rounds for EA's Fight Night, but now round 4 is bursting its way onto PS3 and 360. We reviewed it on PS3.
It's the first time you'll be able to pit Tyson versus Ali, but other than that, it's not that much different from round 3. You've got your standard hip-hop soundtrack, and you'll have to down most top fighters 3 times before they'll stay down. In the big fights, there's the usual emphasis on whittling down your opponent's stamina, although occasionally you'll catch a random haymaker that'll send you on a one-way express trip to Canvas Town.
Controls are the same as well. A quick tap of the right analog stick for your jabs and straights, a quarter circle for your hooks. R1 to block. Sounds simple, yeah?
It does, Junk, but a wise man once said, it's hard to remember combos while being pummeled in the face.
Yeah, well, he wants to move that bullseye around. He wants to see now.
Fight Night rewards you for quick reactions and timing. A perfectly timed block or lean will open them up for a counter. Big hits like these will stun an opponent who will try to get away from you as quickly as possible or try to hug you.
In this way, one bit of good play can completely turn a fight around. You definitely have to think about what kind of boxer you are and what your plan is.
It's important to use your size to your advantage. Are you a tall, lanky sniper or a short, compact tank? If you have a long reach, you're most dangerous from the outside.
But even the best of plans can be sussed out by a good opponent, and improvisation is key at high levels. 6 rounds of high concentration and mind games can be an intense gaming experience.
I wasn't convinced that boxing from the outside was as effective as it should have been, especially when you've got a mate who just goes the maximum number of rounds jabbing for points. It can get pretty lame.
You gotta be smart about it.
Boring!
You gotta be smart about
Boring!
it.
Sorry, continue.
You gotta
Boring!
Howell's going with a completely different style now. Teddy, I don't know that that's necessarily the bad thing, but clearly he's thinking to himself, hey, I was just knocked down. I got to change something.
They've done away with the old mini-games of getting back up, and I quite like that one, Jung. It reminded me of that classic line from Rocky. If you see 3 of them, hit the one in the middle. The new one is more about balance, and it's all right.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
They've also done away with the cornerman mini-games.
That's right, in between rounds now, you'll just decide whether you want to raise your health or stamina. How much you can raise it depends on your stats during the round. Doing things that look good, like counter-punching and evading, means your cornerman will do more for you.
Visually speaking, it's a huge step over round 3, but I just would have liked the normal punches to carry more weight, you know. The counter punches are very stylized and they're great.
There it is!
But you just don't feel it with a normal hit.
In addition to Tyson versus Ali, it's also the first fight night that you can take online. There's a store for additional fighters. EA have been experimenting with their microtransactions in the last couple of years, and they've been less than generous, but I think it's safe to say that you won't have to pay for the most powerful boxers because Tyson and Ali are already in it.
Come on.
There's still some good ones missing though, like Ricky Hatton's there, but not Costa Zoo. Anthony Mundine is there to represent Australia though.
It's easy to think Fight Night's a bit of a non-gamer's game, and it's not entirely untrue. Blocking to the sides, left or right, is done automatically, so all you've really got to worry about is, am I going to block up or down, am I going to punch up or down? But as real-life fans will tell you, boxing has a lot of strategy and depth, and that's well represented in the game. It's one of those games that gets better the more you know about it, and the more challenging it gets, it'll force you to master good movement, effective combos, and counter-punching.
This has all helped with the training mini-games, which not only level up your character the better you do, but they also teach you about the game. And to me, this is the perfect type of tutorial. It's well done.
Well, giant minigame is an oxymoron, but that's what Fight Night is. As good as the last one was, though, this is better. I'm giving it 8 out of 10 rubber chickens.
We recommend the campaign to learn about the game, but this is one of the best games to have a whole bunch of mates around and play. I'm giving it 7.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Good game.
Ah, there you are. Today, I'm going to share with you some of the dark magics taught to me by the old gods. Strange and mystical spells that mere mortals refer to as cheat codes. But be warned, fair travellers, that these cheat codes serve absolutely no purpose. After all, what need have the gods for immortality hacks? A good first step on the path to pointlessness is Wayne's World on the Game Boy, as it featured some of the most pointless cheats that ever cheated. Like all good cheats, you had to press a secret combination of buttons that would give you access to a hidden unlockable. Mashing the correct sequence of buttons brings up a super cool shot of the lead designer, complete with Yo Tag as further proof of just how mega he was. But wait, there's more. Captain Badical also managed to code his girlfriend into the game. Last, and by all means least, let's not forget the hilarious chum, codename The Engineer. Look, he is actually trapped inside the Game Boy. Oh, the hilarity. While these cheats were entertaining in a sad kind of way, the unlockable commentators in the 1996 Adidas Power Soccer for the PlayStation were genuinely entertaining. A simple button mash in the options screen gave us access to 2 elderly women apparently having a chat over a cup of tea and a biscuit.
Darling, do you think he's dead? Or just asleep on the job? Yeah.
Of wider but equally pointless appeal are the cosmetic cheats, codes that do nothing except change the way you look, from big hands and small faces to clown suits and leprechauns, and one game had it all.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Ready to Rumble Round 2 punched its way onto the Dreamcast back in 2000, and it featured a ton of body modification cheats. There are codes to give you supersized gloves, turn you into a beefcake, or a deranged zombie. Even more pointless are the costume changes, which unlock automatically on certain dates of the year. Of course, we cheated the cheats and hacksawed our system date to match the holiday of our favourite outfit. For a really pointless cosmetic cheat though, look no further than Wipeout 2097. This futuristic racing game came out for the PlayStation in 1996 and featured a cheat that would make your hovering metal machines transfigure themselves into animal form to make a snail, a bee, and a pig, and other barnyard creatures. Utterly useless. So far, these cheats have all been casually pointless. They don't do anything worthwhile, but they break the monotony and keep things fun. However, some cheats are so completely pointless they make playing the game totally futile, and at the top of that pile is Warcraft 2. If you're the sort of person who gets distracted from their missions by using the hand of God to explode critters, then fear not, help is at hand. Typing Unite the Clans into the chat window results in an instant victory. Less useful are the instant loss codes, cheats so pointless they've been banished to the distant reaches of space and time, to games like 1998's StarCraft. Typing Game Over Man into the chat window does exactly what it says on the tin, resulting in the instant defeat of your forces. Perfect for those moments when you realise you're missing a handful of Batwool for your next hell broth. Speaking of which... Magics! Thank you, partner.
Good game. It's been a decade since The Secret of Monkey Island made Pirates of Us All, and we hear a remake is on the way. But for now, Telltale Games are making a brand new 5-part series for PC and WiiWare. We reviewed the first episode on PC.
Launch of the Screaming Narwhal kicks off with our hero Guybrush Threepwood attempting to rescue his fair maiden Elaine from the evil clutches of pirate LeChuck, who wants to become a demon pirate king.
LeChuck.
What?
What's with all the monkeys?
A pirate-filled puzzle extravaganza awaits you with original characters and that classic Monkey Island humor.
Without my help, a simpleton like you will never be able to figure out which of the so-called wind gods must be summoned to master this ancient wind control device. And I will reveal nothing!
That's a wind control device? Thanks for telling me.
You didn't know? Ugh!
I thought the humor was the best part of the game, Badge. The jokes were witty, the humor was often naughty, and sometimes the bits of dialogue that you could choose from were a little bit different to what they would actually say. It was kind of like a separate joke from the game to you.
Deep gut? What's a deep gut?
Telltale's last big series was their excellent Wallace and Gromit Adventures, and this is very similar in design and feel. Depending on your powers of deduction, you'll be able to beat this in 4 to 5 hours, but there's a couple of puzzles there that hurt your brain in completely the wrong way. There's one puzzle in particular where you have to put a map in a well before you can activate the puzzle, and it's completely random and pointless and only makes you angry at the game for wasting your time. I know the original had its tough points as well, and maybe it's because I played this all in one sitting that I got a bit aggro, but some better clues would have been nice.
Holy screaming starfish!
Other than that, we don't want to spoil the puzzles for you, but the characters are fun, the settings are nostalgic, and the voice acting, script, and editing is all top-notch. I'm giving it 7.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
It's not a self-contained episode. There's no big climax or boss fight at the end, so I was left feeling a little bit underwhelmed by it all, Jung. I still enjoyed it, and I am looking forward to the next chapter, but this one's a 7 out of 10 from me.
Good game!
Games journalism is undergoing some big changes. As readers desert traditional print media for websites and blogs, we're seeing a drop in magazine sales and a rise in visitor hits for gaming sites and independent blogs. But is more always better? I caught up with some voices of the games blogosphere and print media to find out. Dan Staines has been working as a print games journalist for the past 10 years. 2 years ago, he created the gaming blog, Egra.
A good games blog is primarily, for me at least, about good writing and about personality. I think blogging has tended towards delivering more entertainment than information. I think blogs do reader interaction better than print, And by and large, I think blogs are obviously, they're a lot quicker than print, so they're able to turn around news a lot quicker than print.
If a story is available to all sites, they'll all rush to have it up on their side, first, and there are compromises in quality there.
Ben Mansell is a games media veteran. He was responsible for the launch of popular gaming-related magazines like Atomic and PC Powerplay. While still involved with print media, Ben's soon launching a new web-based gaming outlet.
Well, there are two aspects to effective journalism. One is being able to deliver good content, and it still remains the case that print is best served by the games industry in that the magazines always get beta copies of the games first. The magazines always get exclusive access to the key developers. The magazines are the ones taken most seriously. So that presents challenges for other forms of media because they do not get the exclusives, they don't get the access.
Blogging, because it's more independent, it's more able to keep the games industry accountable for what it does by criticising its games and by making sure that when the game industry sort of says something, when it releases a PR release, for example, that it actually holds up its end of the bargain and that it's actually truthful.
Good journalism is about objectivity and fairness and accuracy, and traditionally in blogs, all you see is opinion. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Opinion can be tremendously entertaining.
These days you say you're in video game journalism, there's kind of Snickers in the corner and everything like that, There's a differentiation between being a journalist and being enthusiast press. And, I don't want to be enthusiast press. I want to be a games journalist. And to be able to be a games journalist, you have to adhere to certain journalistic principles.
A lot of people would dismiss blogs as being not objective enough and not factually accurate. What would you say to these people?
I don't see the point of games journalism to be objective. It's not about reporting facts. It's about entertaining your audience and letting them know whether certain games are interesting or not. There's no objectivity there. It's not science.
While a majority of blogs are opinion and entertainment-based, this allows the writers to target more specific subject matter than magazines, who have to cater for a more general audience.
If you want to go looking for that post about specifically one character out of a game and the themes that they bring to it and this particular angle to it. So for example, you want to look at the homoerotic characteristics present within Gears of War, then you go to this blogger and you search his blog and you go, oh wow, this is great stuff here. Where do you find that in a magazine?
We like to tackle issues maybe a little bit more in depth and stuff that other people don't cover, I sort of like to look at the culture side of things. Other people like Ben like to look at the audio side of things, and other people just they like to really hammer at the gameplay elements and what makes a game great, what doesn't make it succeed, and those sort of things you don't really get an in-depth grasp of when you're reading traditional print media.
I come from a traditional newspaper background, and I have a very, very hard time with information that's put out there just for the sake of hits. I don't necessarily want to be first. I want to be right. And I think if blogs can adopt that type of mentality, then more power to them. I'm all in favor of a big expose that has facts checked, that has sources checked, that has sources backed up. If bloggers can do that and expose some of the crap that goes on in this industry, I'll visit that site every day.
The future of games blogging is more about creating, a community for gamers than something that they just go and read. It's kind of the Web 2.0 thing, I guess, in a way. Web 2.0 is the future of games blogging in that it's not going to be about people consuming as it is about people interacting.
All journalists do is, at a base level, report on what they see. The only thing that's going to change is the medium they use to do that. Blogs are now a new, exciting and effective medium to do that, but there will continue to be magazines, there will continue to be traditional websites, there will continue to be podcasts, there will be event-based reporting, all sorts of stuff. It's exciting.
Good game! Call of Juarez Bound in Blood is a prequel to the original sleeper hit. You play as both Ray and Thomas, who desert from the American Civil War in 1864.
Sir, Lieutenant Fox needs you on the flank. Yankees are taking the forest.
There's actually three brothers. The unplayable third is a preacher who constantly harasses the other two for having low moral fiber, and rightly so.
You just killed a U.S. federal marshal.
Both Ray and Thomas have their own moral code and don't care who they kill on their way to reach their goal.
with the exception of chickens, John.
Don't kill it if you ain't gonna eat it.
And cows.
Oh, shit. That was an accident.
There's heaps of cutscenes and lots of voiceover by the preacher, which adds a nice storybook feel to the game, and the costumes and music are fantastic. Thomas's strengths are in stealth, lassoing, and long-range weapons. But you don't really stealth much, and that's a good thing because it's pointless, and also throwing knives is boring. But his long-range weapons, such as the rifle and the bow, are fantastic.
Ray is a bit tougher, and he can dual-wield 6-shooters, which is always fun. Although he can't climb walls for some reason, so the two characters rely on each other a lot.
Let me give you a hand up.
Each have concentration modes, which you build up by killing. Ray's allows you to scan an entire area for people and cows, and take them all out in one fell swoop. Thomas automatically locks onto enemies, and all you have to do is move your mouse back and forward to cock and fire your gun.
I really like these concentration modes, Jung, and the game keeps you interested by throwing in lots of slow-motion door-bashing moments where you move your guns together trying to pick off as many enemies as you can. And the stagecoach chases were great.
You can buy new weapons from item shops, and everything is very inaccurate and very slow, which reflects the times, so it's not all that bad, but it would have been nice to have some melee badge.
Agreed. Although the gunplay in general is very gratifying and there's a welcome auto-aim on the pistols. However, if you're just that little bit too far away from the enemy, you have no chance to hit them at all, so it's much better to run in and duck and take some cover, but that's more fun as well.
Speaking of cover, we love the cover system. You automatically go into hiding when you move against a box or a wall, which mostly works great. If you move your mouse, you peek around the edge very fluidly, and the way your weapon moves when you're behind cover, it gives you that real run and gun and duck feeling.
The Wild West pew pew sound effects really added to that as well, Jung, and I love a game that lets you target birds in the sky. Boss fights are quick draw minigames that rely a lot on patience. When the bell goes off, draw.
Mostly the game is linear, but you'll be directed all over the place as the two brothers figure out how to get out of constant, sticky situations. There are a couple of areas where you can do side missions for cash to upgrade your weapons in an open world environment, which also allows for some horsey rides.
We reviewed this on PC, and as you can see, it's a reasonable looking game, and most of this is because of the level design and the art behind it. But we also spent a few hours with the PS3 version, and Jung, I gotta say, it's just awful.
Yeah, Badge, I played it, and I was ready to put it down after 10 minutes. It's slower, the loading's very intrusive, and it looks not as good as what a half-decent PC could muster, you know? We're not sure if it's the same on 360, but generally FPS games like this sit better on the PC anyway.
Mind you, our PC version bugged out in the third last mission, so we haven't been able to finish the game. We did contact the publisher, who said no one else had a problem, so it was probably just a temperamental behemoth PC. One thing I noticed, Junk, especially early on, the game is very strict about the path you take. It kind of forces you to go a certain way and walk a certain line.
Yeah, sometimes you'll die because you were too slow to reach a checkpoint, or you walked too far away from your brother, or you didn't cannon enough enemies in time, and it felt unfair to be punished just for walking too far away from your brother, you know? It does get better though, and it turns into a really rewarding experience, especially when you start going up against the Indians and trashing saloons.
I really love this setting, Jung, and it's a game that you do warm to over time. Multiplayer is class-based, and it's awesome. Assuming you can play it past the crash point, I'm giving it 8.5 out of 10 rubber chickens. I really wanted to finish it, you know? It's a good story, and it feels like it's bound to have some sort of redemption setting thing at the end. What did you think?
I liked it too. It was great that you didn't have to do too much lassoing, which was everything that was wrong with the first game. I'm giving it 8 rubber chickens. But Badge, I think it's time that we took Behemoth out back and sent it the way of Old Yeller.
No, John. I'll do it. It's my PC. The game for this week, did you guess it?
It was Sunset Riders, a gunslinging, side-scrolling shooter from way back in 1991. It came out in arcades and for the Super Nintendo and Sega Mega Drive, and it featured some of the most hectic six-gun blasting gameplay the Wild West had ever seen.
You played as one of 4 bounty hunters hot on the trail of a gang of lawbreakers with some very hefty prices on their heads, and it was your job to bring them in dead or alive. But since Sunset Riders didn't let you take any prisoners, they always ended up dead.
Now for next week's show.
Wii Sports came bundled with the Wii, so there's a lot of copies out there, but the sequel is called Wii Sports Resort, and is it wallet worthy?
From the company that makes the game the Army uses to train comes Arma 2. It's aiming to give FPS gamers a more hardcore, realistic experience. We put it in our sights.
Steam has revolutionized the way PC gamers buy and play their games with Steam. We go inside the Seattle-based company and meet its co-founder, Gabe Newell.
And just before we go, if any of you would like to be on the TVs, the new ABC channel, especially for the youth, ABC3, is looking for presenters. You need to have your HSC. Find more info on the website here, but be quick about it because applications are closing soon.
And if you've got any non-digital friends, or analogers as we like to call them, you can also watch Good Game late on a Friday night over on ABC One.
We'll be back with a brand spanking new episode next week. Till that time, gamers, Junglist out.
Bajo out.
You shall not pass!
Good game.